So a cart item will also have a status. And why do we want to give it a status? Because we actually want to know if this item is it still on the customer cart, or it has been checked out already, because we don't necessarily want to delete it, but we need to have some logic in place to keep check whether it has been checked out or it's still on the cart, meaning the customer must still pay us for it. And then also I want to add a price. I don't really like adding a price here because we already have a price on the product model, but however that's a completely different microservice which is gonna pass the data across, so it's good to have it here as well. C# doesn't like that. Let's see, what is the IntelliSense saying? Okay, that looks fine. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and add two packages, because also in this tutorial I want us to look at using the AutoMapper API. So yeah, we're gonna add those nugget packages. So in here we're gonna go manage nugget packages, and then we're gonna look for AutoMapper. So yeah, these are the two we need. AutoMapper. I'm gonna take let's take 6.2. I accept. And then the next one is AutoMapper extensions.microsoft.dependency injection. That's the whole purpose of this package, by the way, is just to get the dependency injection for us. But then the good thing about this is that it sort of does that automatically for us. So yeah, here we got a nice error here. Detected package downgrade. AutoMapper 8.1 to 6.2 reference the package directly from the project to select the different versions. So it looks like somehow I already had this one, but I don't think so, because this API we just recently created it now, unless Visual Studio is trying to tell us that when you create an API project now it comes with AutoMapper by default. I mean, that would be a wow factor, really, and nice to have. But we can always double check that later on. For now, let's just focus on getting rid of that error. Okay, yeah. Looks like our project is happy again. The build was successful, no errors. Let's continue, look at the service now. So previously, and now remember guys, I want to stick to the exact same folder structure that I used previously on our first API. Okay, so here on the services we had the interface and the implementation. So let's quickly add that. We've got interface and then we've got the implementation. So I'm gonna quickly add let's say new item interface. I'm gonna call this one customer service. Make sure that it's public, and then I'm gonna add a class called it customer services. I have to be really careful with this naming. So we've got customer card MS, and then we've got services folder. Now I'm gonna create a class, call it customer services. Yeah, I should be fine. I don't see any issues with the naming, because sometimes you get the namespace wrong. For instance, if you create a class with the same wording of one of your folders, you're gonna get a very nice error there, and sometimes those are very difficult and they're really not easy to track. But after like spending some time investigating it, obviously you then realized that okay, you've sort of named your folders and your classes in the same way. That's why you can't find the references anymore, or your using statements are not working properly. Okay, next I want to add a customer card service. And then I wonder if I should stick to services. Okay, so now we've got our customer card service interface. So lastly, we will need the customer card service for the implementation. The idea is to have the interface and the implementation for both customer and the customer cards. So let me quickly go ahead and add that customer card service. customer card service. You see, this is the naming I was talking about, because I've named the other one services. I want to be consistent on that. So yeah, this one is also services now. So let's see what operations are we going to define here. First of all, we need the CRUD. Exactly like before, we need the CRUD. One thing we have not yet added is our model. We've added the data model, but we haven't added the presentation model. So this will be quicker if I do a copy and paste. So what I'll do is, okay, it's fine. Let's do it step by step. So I've got the customer model. That's not the right spelling for model. Okay, there. And then we're gonna have the exact same properties. So now it's safe to copy and paste. And I'm just gonna add that using statement to get rid of that error. And then next is gonna be the customer card item model. That's a very long word. Customer card item model. Okay, I've got that one. We are almost done with this microservice. It's just that this one has two models, so obviously it's gonna take a bit longer to set up. But yeah, after this is just defining operations, and that's it. We are ready to test and connect this to our user interface. Okay, so this will be add customer, and the parameter for this is a customer model. Okay, I'm gonna copy that across, and this is gonna be now get customers, and this one will be get customer by ID. I don't like deleting, but we're gonna just add a delete customer. Probably we won't even use that on our UI. We will just have the syntax. Or maybe just use it as an update or whatever. So yeah, let's look at this. We've got add customer, get customers, get customer by ID, delete customer, and then update. That should be update customer. There we go. We're gonna do the exact same thing for our customer cart item. So then let's see. This is add to customer cart. Add to customer cart, and then obviously it's gonna be using customer cart item. I'm just gonna copy this across. So this will be get customer cart items, and this will be get customer cart item by ID. And then yeah, this delete, we actually gonna use it because the customer might add something on their cart for some reason and they want to remove it afterwards. Maybe they actually realize they've now added more items and their cart total is way more than what they are actually planning to spend, and then they would, for that reason, they would want to remove. So we will say remove customer cart item. And then lastly, I'm just trying to think of an update. Where would we use an update cart item? Let's say I can't really think of a scenario where we would want to update, but I guess it will work similar to the delete. Yeah, it's much safer to rather have them do the update than the delete. So it's gonna be update customer cart. Now let's check this. We've got add customer cart, add to customer cart, yes. Get customer cart items, get customer cart item by ID, delete customer cart item, and then update customer cart. Okay. Also here I want to add a checkout method. This one will be a string and it will be checkout, and then it will also take a parameter of a string. I'm gonna say string. We can either take a string customer email or we can take a customer ID. Which one is easier? Let's go with the customer ID. In customer ID, okay, what else can we do to the card? We've checked out now, and yeah, I think those are the only 6 operations we need there. Let's quickly go implement this. Start with the customer. So the customer will inherit from I customer service. And then we're gonna implement the interface. We need two properties there on top. We're gonna have this as private read only. What's the name of our database again? It is customer card DB context. So it's customer card DB context. Okay. And then we also need the AutoMapper API. So that will be private read-only AutoMapper. Using AutoMapper. And then we need to pass both of these on the constructor method as parameters. So I'm gonna say this customer card DB context equals to that customer card DB context, and then this mapper equals to that mapper object. Okay, let's collapse all of these folders, and then now I'm gonna add another folder for my mapping conversion. So I'm gonna say mappings config. This is where I'll store all of my mapping configurations. So on this folder, I'm gonna go ahead and create a class for configuring all of my mappings, and then I will call this the mappings setup, and that will extend or inherit from the profiles class. Okay, and then once we have that, we can now go ahead and then create the mappings. So we want to map customer onto the customer model. Like so. Okay, we are done with setting up the mapping for the customer, so we can close that and then now go use our mapping API for these operations. So in here I'll say using our DB context, and then I want to create a customer object. This customer object will be actually assigned from the mapping where we've got the destination and the source. So the destination for us is obviously the customer, and then the source is the customer model. And then I'm just gonna pass in that model from the parameters. Let's go ahead and add a using statement for this one. Okay, customer is not that happy. What's wrong here? We're trying to create a map, execute mapping from the source object to the new destination. Oh yeah, so our source is the customer model and our destination is the customer. So we've got to swap those around. There you go. It looks like we've got two conflicting namings for our customer model. So I'm just going to change this one so that it looks a bit different. And then now that solves our problem. And then we've got our customer setup. Now we want to add this. So what we're going to do here, we're going to go to the customer card DB context, and we want to look for customers. This is going to give us an error for now because we haven't defined our customer on the DB context model, but we're just going to do that now before we proceed with this one. So I'm going to pass in customer here, and then I'm going to call the DB context save changes method. Okay, now let's go define the customer on the DB context so that we can get rid of that error. There's our database customer card DB context. So here we want to say public DB set customer, and then obviously you want to apply the pluralization. so that becomes customers. Yeah, I'm just gonna define the customer cart item as well, so that we don't get the same problem once we start defining the operations for the customer cart item. So that was customer cart item, and when you pluralize that, you're gonna have customer cart items. Okay, just sort out the spaces. We really want to have clean code here, so let's see. This now is pluralized on the other side, so it's not customer but it's customers. Okay, that error is gone now. If everything goes successfully here, let's quickly add a try catch statement. I'm gonna try this. If it all goes well with my inside my try statement, I just wanna return customer added successfully. Okay, but if something goes wrong, I wanna throw, in fact, I'm gonna shorten that. I wanna throw an ex dot inner exception here, so that the application can actually give me the details of what sort of errors that has occurred. Okay, that's our add. Let's quickly go to the list all customers. So using customer DB context, here we want to set up a list. It's gonna be a customer list. So we're gonna go mapper dot map. We want a list of customer model and we're gonna map that to a list of customers. As a parameter there, so this will now be, I'm not using an object there, I'm using the direct entity, which is wrong. Okay, that looks fine now. So I'm gonna say that dot customers dot to list. And now I can take this and pass it there. Okay, we have a suggestion here: unnecessary assignment of a value to customer list. But we definitely need that. Now that we have set that up, I'm just gonna return the customer list. I really love AutoMapper in terms of simplifying the syntax, because if it wasn't for this mapping API, just this one operation was probably going to be about a minimum of 8 to 9 lines of code. But right now, through the help of the Mapper API, we just have it as like 2 lines of code, and then lastly it's our return statement. So that's really nice to have. It shows that our framework has came so far to get to this point. Okay, so now I'm gonna define the operation for get customer by ID, and then I want to quickly jump onto the cart item, because I really want to have all of this covered within this one session. So this now becomes get customer, and this is now single, and we're no longer expecting a list. It's just a single object, and then we can return the customer. I'll have to do the same thing for the update and delete. So I'm gonna use this, guys. If you can copy and paste, please do. Don't have to keep on writing the exact same lines of code every single time. It's time consuming and it's error prone. So here first I want to find the customer record to update. Obviously I need to filter with some sort of a unique property. In this case, it's either gonna be the customer ID or the email address. You can use any, but I will use my customer ID because that's the primary key on this table. Okay, something is wrong with my syntax there. Supposed to go for x dot but this is customer. I wanna say C, where C into C dot customer ID will equals to be model dot customer ID. Okay, .first.default. And now that we have that, let me just sort out this semicolon here. This is not a customer list, it's just a single customer. And now on this line, I want to say customer card DB context dot customer dot update customer. Okay, and that completes our customer service. Let's quickly build this project, see if we don't have any errors for now. Okay, still all working as fine as before. Now let's quickly go implement the customer cart item. That's the one that we're gonna really need for adding those items onto the cart. So again, here we've defined an interface for this, so we're just gonna call all of those operations here and implement those. Customer card service, I believe I've called these services, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, there we go. And then again, we will need the private read-only customer DB context it's actually customer cards DB context. Okay, you've got that. And then we also need the AutoMapper. And then we need both our parameters. So this one is really gonna be quick because it's similar to what we were doing just now on the customer. And then if you look at the add, obviously we are no longer dealing with the customer model, but we are dealing with the customer cart item. So yeah, just pay attention to that. Okay, I'm gonna change that to a small letter. It looks like my PC is on caps. We've already set up this one on the DB context, so yeah, we should be able to access it like that. We are done with the add to customer cart, and then next we're gonna look at find customer cart by ID. And again, this is customer cart model. I'm gonna add a where statement here just to filter with the ID that we are sending through as a parameter. So this will be that customer ID equals to that ID. Okay, that should sort it out. This is get customer cart item, and this will be customer cart item, and then I want to return the customer cart item. And now let's do the get customer cart items. So this now is that the customer becomes the customer cart item, and obviously we are looking at customer cart items, get customer cart items, and then you want to return the customer cart items, customer cart items. In fact, I'm gonna change this one so that it makes sense to all customer cart items, because now kind of sounds like you will be looking at the items of one customer, whereas you'll be getting everything. that has been added onto a cart by different customers. It's more of a functionality that would be used by an admin rather than the customer. Okay. And then lastly, for our checkout, it's gonna be something similar to the update. Looks like we forgot the save changes method. Okay, I'll start with the update. We want to update that. So we're updating that to that. Yeah. This is a customer cart item. Okay, and that is done. I'm gonna do the exact same thing for my checkout. The only difference is on checkout we are gonna be using an ID to filter, because now we wanna know exactly which customer is checking out those items. So we need something similar to this one, and then everything else stays the same. It's only the first few lines of code that will be different, and then everything else should work exactly like before. Okay, that's my customer ID. So here I'm just gonna save changes, and then return card item successfully. No, it's not card item. We're just gonna say successfully checked out. It's not like they'll be checking out one item. Could be one or more. Okay, and now we are almost done with this. In fact, we are done. Let's just build this thing to see. Okay, and then we need to quickly set up our database for our new microservice now. To do that, we're gonna get this connection string. We're gonna use it as is. This was shopping cart DB connection. This one will be customer card DB connection, and this will be customer card. Okay, what else on the startup? We also need some code for setting up the database and the DB context, because this is where the application first loads, so it needs to know how to connect to the database when it loads for the first time. Otherwise, we will never get the database connection, meaning you can't save or you can't retrieve. This will be customer and this will be in this customer card services. New it. And then also the connection name needs to be exactly the same, and then the customer card, this one here, you must just pass that as a migration assembly. So that's gonna be customer card ms, and then this is customer card service, and the same is gonna be customer card service. And now we need to add the dependency injection for the mapper class as well. So there we go. This should handle setting up the mapper class for us. Services dot add. There's an import that we must add for this one, or rather a using statement. Yeah, so here on top we need to add the using AutoMapper, and that should get rid of that error for us. So here we've added this folder for the mapping setup. That should also be referenced. Okay, it looks like we are done with the API. I'm just gonna go ahead and add Swagger for this one as well, like we did for our previous one. So for that we need swashbuckle, both the gen and the UI. So let's quickly import those. That's our first one. Okay, that's sorted. And lastly, we need the one for the UI. And now we've got that. We need to specify Swagger now on our properties file. And then once that is done, we need to also add Swagger on the startup. Services.add Swagger gen, and then we also need the other one for the UI. This is customer card API. Okay, and now that has been done, we need to add the migrations to our microservice. So I'm gonna go add migrations, card model, customer card model, and then update the database. So like that, our database has been created for this microservice. Now if I come on to the SQL Server Object Explorer, you can view all of your database instances there. So underneath my databases now I have customer card. This is an empty database. We haven't stored anything here at the moment. Those are my two tables. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and then put some data onto this table. Our foreign keys are created properly because we've got the customer, and the customer card item is a foreign key of the customer ID that references the customer's table. So yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's go now look at hooking this functionality onto the MVC UI, where we actually want to add items onto the cart, because that's the interface we are using. So I'm gonna define a cart, not a cart but a customer cart controller, because at the moment we only have a product controller on this UI. So that's a customer cart controller. And then so in here I'm gonna be using the HTTP client like before. And I want to define a list for the customer cart items. And now we need to create that. So I'm gonna use the exact same name as before. We've got customer cart item model, just rename, copy that. I'm gonna say add new customer cart item model, and then obviously I can copy paste the fields. And then now I can say list this okay. And then now I want to use this HTTP clients to get the response. So this will be using var response will equals to await HTTP client.get async. This will be the URL, and then I'll get that response there. Just gonna say string URL. I'm gonna get all of these URL now from Swagger like we did before. And here I want to say string API response will equals to await response dot content dot read a string asynchronous. And then my customer cart item will equals to JSON dot I'm looking for my JSON converter. So it's JSON converter there we go. And then I want to say deserialize object. And which object am I deserializing? It's gonna be a list of customer cart item model, and then I want to pass in the API response as a parameter. You don't need to await that. And this now will be an async task. Okay, so we are done with the get. Lastly, I'm just gonna put all the URLs. So after this one, I want to look at the add. So that is my add. Let's quickly have a look at what we are doing here. We're calling the view method. This is the one that collects the data from the user for us, and then we're gonna post that data through this HTTP post method. That's our model we're gonna be using, and I'm using the string content to sort of convert this object to a JSON object. As you can see, I've specified application JSON, and then I'm gonna be posting on this URL. All of my URLs I will add it last because I'm still gonna get all of those from Swagger. And now I want to do the get customer cart by ID.